Hi little peoples, welcome to 5th standard science online class. In the previous class we completed the topic air. In this class we will discuss about water. Water is also one of the main source required for living. Water is the main source for cooking and drinking purposes also. The water that we use mainly comes from rivers, ponds, lakes and wells. And rainwater is the main source of water on the earth. Because from rainwater alone, water comes to the rivers, ponds, lakes and wells. Pure water is fit for drinking purposes. And substances such as sand, dirt, mud and germs make this water unfit for use. These substances are called impurities. Impurities are of two kinds. One is soluble impurities and the other is insoluble impurities. What are soluble impurities? Here, soluble means which dissolves in water. So, which are all the substances which dissolve in water? They are common salt, sugar, milk, etc. So, they cannot be separated again from water. Next is insoluble impurities. What does insoluble means? That is which does not dissolve in water. So, the impurities which does not dissolve in water are called insoluble impurities. For example, sand, mud, leaves, twigs, etc. Now we have one activity to prove this. Now the aim of the activity is to identify soluble and insoluble impurities. For this we need 3 empty cups, empty water, that is plain water, common salt, tea leaves, strainer, sugar, sand, twigs and some grass leaves. So the first method is to take 2 cups and fill them with water. In 1 cup add a small teaspoon of common salt and to the other cup add 1 spoon of tea leaves. Now stir these 2 cups with a spoon. Now put a strainer on another cup and strain the salt water mixture. What do you observe? We observe that the common salt and water have mixed, and when we strain it, the water comes out without leaving any impurities in the strainer. Now again strain the tea leaves. What will you observe? You will observe that the tea leaves have been strained in the strainer and the water has come to the glass. So can you now say which one is soluble and which one is insoluble? Yes, the salt and water solution is the insoluble, while the tea leaves and water mixture is the insoluble. That is, the tea leaves is insoluble and salt is soluble. Now we can repeat the same with sugar, sand, milk, twigs and grass leaves. So what will you observe? We will observe that tea, grass leaves, sand and twigs are all left behind in the strainer. But common salt, sugar and milk are not left behind. So what we come to a conclusion? So the conclusion here is tea, grass leaves, sand and twigs do not dissolve in water and they are called as insoluble impurities. Whereas common salt, milk and sugar, they dissolve in water and these are called as soluble impurities. Okay. Now we can remove impurities from water. For this there are several methods. We will see some simple methods for removing impurities from water. Both soluble and insoluble impurities can be removed from water from different methods. First we will see about the removal of insoluble impurities from water. For this we will see about filtration and sedimentation. That is, the filtration and sedimentation are the 2 processes by which we can remove the insoluble impurities from water. First we will see about filtration. In this method, insoluble impurities are removed by passing the impure water through a filter paper. Now what is a filter paper? A filter paper is made of a fiber and the surface has numerous small holes through which liquid particles can pass. while larger solid particles cannot pass. So the filter paper acts like a filter. Okay. For this method, take a beaker and mix water and sand. Next we will need a funnel and a conical flask. A funnel is a cone-shaped apparatus and a conical flask is a glass container as shown in figure. Next, a circular piece of filter paper is taken and folded twice to make it into a shape of a cone. This paper is placed inside the funnel. A conical flask is kept below the funnel. Now we should pour the mixture of sand and water through the funnel. Now we can see that the water alone flows through the funnel into the conical flask and the sand is left behind in the filter paper. And the water left behind is in the flask is clean. So this process is called as filtration. Okay. So the next process is called as sedimentation and decantation. This process involves the following steps. First, mud or sand and water are mixed in a beaker and they are allowed to stand undisturbed in a beaker. After some time, the mud settles down at the bottom of the container and this mud which settles down the container is called sediments. This process is called sedimentation. The clean water that we get on top can then be poured out into a separate container without disturbing the sediments. So this process is called decantation. Okay. Now the rate of sedimentation can be improved by adding special chemicals such as alum, that is to get more clean water and make the sediments to deposit more to the bottom. We add a chemical called as alum into the mixture of sand and water. This process of adding alum is called loading. So let us now see how loading can be used to separate the dirt particles that are suspended in the muddy water. First, take a beaker containing a mixture of mud and water. A piece of alum is suspended in it. The alum particles gets attached themselves to the dirt particles in the muddy water. These alums makes the mud heavier and so the mud or the dust particles settle down at the bottom of the container. By this, the clean water obtained in the beaker is more clean than the decantation method. So, with this we can end up this session. We will continue with the remaining soluble impurities in the next class. So, do read the lesson without fail. We will see in the next class. Bye.